Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Spectre Approved podcast, a podcast where two players summon their personas and it's just personified depression. I'm your host Adam and I'm joined once again by Fenris.
Hello, and yes, it was definitely personified depression.
So this week's game, dear listeners, if you haven't read the title, which I don't know why you wouldn't have, but anyway, if that's not your thing, today's game was Persona 1, also known as Shin Megami Tensei Persona, also known as Revelations Persona, which is a 1996 role-playing video game developed and published by Atlas. It was the first entry in the Persona series, which itself is a sub-series of the Megami Tensei franchise. And since then, since Persona's come out, they've had many spin-offs themselves. So it's just spin-offs galore. And is the first role-playing entry in the series to be released in the West. Was originally released for the PlayStation in 1996 in Japan and North America, and was ported to a Japan-only Microsoft Windows version in 1999, which would have been a blessing to play, if I'm being honest. We both played the port for the PlayStation Portable, retitled to Shin Megami Tensei Persona, released in North America and Japan in 2009, and didn't reach me in Europe till the year 2010. This port featured new cutscenes and a reworked English localization that was more faithful to the original Japanese release, as the original 1996 North American localization was heavily criticized for its unfaithfulness to the original Japanese version. So, Fenris, before we jump into first impressions, do you have any history with the Megaten franchise in general?
Nope. This was my first dive into anything Shin Megami Tensei Persona related. I have heard that both sides of the series are excellent, and I've never heard anything bad about them. So, I figured it was going to be fun.
Awesome. I have a long history with this franchise. Well, not long. I've played a lot of games in the franchise. And I wanted to do one of the series for the podcast. And I'm like, if I do a proper Shin Megami Tensei game, we're going to have to go back to the Famicom Megami Tenseis, which were a slog enough for me. I wouldn't put that on anyone else, particularly someone I like to play for a podcast. Maybe my worst enemy, but not anyone that I would want to actually come out of this series with positive mindset. So I first played this, once again, I'm going back to my 3DS story, and my friend who, I guess, launched me into the world of piracy. We're looking probably 2017, and he put a heap of games on my 3DS at the time, with the first of those being, it took me a while to find, but it was actually the original Devil Survivor, which is a spin-off, one of the 4 spin-off series that come from Shin Megami Tensei. And he's like, oh, it's just Pokemon for adults. And I'm like, okay. I went in, played 20 minutes, died a bunch, and said, this game is awesome. And then I went back and I played a few others. I played a fanlation of the original Megami Tensei that comes bundled in a double pack. I got about halfway through that, stopped. I've played little bits and pieces from each of the main series. However, the main ones that I've finished have been Strange Journey, Shin Megami Tensei 3, 4, Apocalypse 5, and Persona 3 and 4. So whilst I've played a lot of the series itself and own a lot of the series, this is my first foray into the original Persona itself. So it was really awesome being able to see the origins of it and what kind of linked it back to the mechanics that I've known and loved thus far. But change very much so as we get to Persona 3 and 4.
I'm looking forward to Persona 3.
Yeah.
I hear it is where things really kick off, and it's one that I hear changes a lot of the mechanics and the graphics and all that stuff. And honestly, I'm interested to see the differences between Persona 1 and Persona 2. But I never hear or see anything about Persona 2.
Yeah. It's got a complicated release history itself. Because, and we'll go into it more when we play it, obviously, but there's actually 2 Persona 2 games. Whether they split them at the time. First one for PSP and PS1, I want to say. And the second one just for PSP. And the second one didn't actually receive a release in the West. So we might need to play a fanlation for that.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, there's Persona 2 Innocent Sin, released for Japan and for the PlayStation in '99. And then there's Eternal Punishment, which was released in Japan and North America for the PlayStation in 2000. But they're both labeled Persona 2.
Yeah, they are 2 different games from memory. So, Innocent Sin was the one that we didn't get over here. Was it? The first one? Okay.
Yeah. No, Innocent Sin was the one that was released in Japan, and Eternal Punishment was released in Japan and North America.
Oh, not till 2020. Wowzers. Alright, cool. We'll find a way to play them. But if you haven't had any experience, you might be saying, what the hell are these guys talking about? Because I haven't explained what the game is. So, Persona is a turn-based JRPG with elements of grid-based battles, dungeon crawling, and Pokemon-esque elements in the fact that you can recruit demons to your side and then fuse them to make stronger demons. You play a bunch of school kids set on stopping the end of the world. That's my basic elevator pitch. First impressions, Fenris?
It was old, and it was very janky, and it was rife with a bunch of mechanics that I didn't even know it had. I feel like if I needed a introduction to the Persona games, I feel like this was the wrong one.
Yeah. So Persona actually came about from after the release of a game called Shin Megami Tensei If, which itself was a spin-off, basically of the what if variety. Very similar mechanics. It's been such a long time since I've played it, so I don't know what itself translated over. But it was the high school setting. Had a lot of the staff from Persona 1 in it and shared the dungeon crawling, which, in my opinion, without getting too far ahead, is the worst aspect of this game.
Yeah.
Because I went into this for my first impression knowing kind of what to expect. Um, However, the dungeon crawling was something that, even in the 28 hours that I took to finish this game, um, I never got used to and am not a fan of. Um, and it's cemented for me that I'm never going to play the Etrian Odyssey series that Atlas has also published, because that's all that game is.
Yeah, the dungeon crawling is basically just the Windows 98 maze screensaver.
Yeah,
That's
with
all it
puzzles
is.
and random battles as you go.
Yeah. Um, I mean, it was cool at first. It was a neat little thing that they did, but like it kind of gave me some vertigo feeling kind of deals. Wasn't really a fan of
Yep.
it. But I mean, I only got like 6 hours into this game, and coming up on the podcast, I realized that there was no way I was going to finish it because it was either grind out levels and hope to complete it, or it was push forward and struggle through
Yep.
it.
And look, I have to hold my hand up and say I didn't beat this game the way it was intended to be played either. I played this through a PSP emulator, and I used 4 times speed a lot of the time, and also had to use turn random battles off, and also I had to turn on one shot for a couple of bosses, because I tried beating them legitimately, and then I lost 4 times in a row, 3 times in a row. So I'm like, nah, stuff it.
Yeah, and I feel like this game is better played with cheats because it's such a time sink and it does not respect your time. And the biggest issue I had with it was when you're dungeon crawling. I mean, you go 10 seconds and you're into a fight that lasts anywhere from 1 to 2 minutes, and it's just wash and repeat. And that's frustrating. That's very frustrating.
Yeah, because I think that boils down to the core gameplay loop of the game. Because what you were doing, you talk to a character, you find out where you need to go, you walk to there, uh, keeping in mind that even on the overworld, you have random battles because the world has been invaded by demons. You go into a dungeon, you do more random battles, you do a puzzle, you fight a boss, you come out, uh, you go back into the overworld, you fight more random battles, you upgrade your gear, and then you go to the next place you need to go. Not a fun
See,
loop.
and it's like, no, but I mean, they did a good job at like making it inconsistently consistent, if that makes any sense, because like I never felt like there was a loop. I mean, obviously there is to any game you play, but like the random enemy spawns just kind of take you out of it.
Yeah. And I had. Were you playing this on controller or keyboard? Yeah. Did you
Controller.
use thumbstick or D-pad for movement?
D-pad.
Yeah, same.
It
I had
was
to.
so much easier.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
started off using the thumbstick, and because you're walking on using your 4 plane, because, and I didn't own a PSP, so correct me if I'm wrong. Did PSP have a thumbstick, or it just had
It
D-pad?
did.
Okay, but it also had or one D-pad.
Yeah, I think it just had one D-pad. It might have had two thumbsticks.
Okay, But PS1,
No, it just had one.
yeah, okay, PS1, which this originally came out on in Japan, only had a D-pad. I'd say this would be before the thumbsticks came in to the later generation of PS1.
Yeah.
So yeah, D-pad is really ideal for the movement because my character was facing the completely wrong direction a lot of the time when I was using a thumbstick.
Yeah, it was just the thumbstick was too touchy for the movement, and there was a lot of times where, like I try to turn down a hallway when you're crawling a dungeon, and I would end up just spinning around in a circle, and I'm like,
Or
no.
bouncing off a wall. I bounced off a lot of walls.
Yeah. Speaking of bouncing off a wall, an issue that I had with the controls was like if you went in to like I only noticed it in a quote unquote dungeon, like the school or whatever. But like if you went into a door, you couldn't just back out of the door. You had to turn around and walk through it. Which I get, but it was kind of annoying.
Yeah, okay. I didn't even try doing that. But that's really interesting to note. Again, probably something that's just of the time.
Yeah.
Oh, combat. All right, where to start? There
was too much.
So many fucking systems on systems in this game. All right, I'll start off with the party members themselves. You have a physical weapon, like close range weapon, be it sword, scimitar, punching to start off with, and you also have characters who have range to like throwing knives, etc. And you all
A bow.
Yeah, bow. Yeah, Maki has a bow, of course. And then you have ranged weapons, which are guns. So it's no surprise that it took this long to get that series to the West, just because of the climate, particularly in the United States around that time. And then you have your magic, which is essentially your personas, who each have 4 or more attacks they can use. And that's combat.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, wait. There's more to combat because you also have items that you can throw, like grenades and stuff, into combat themselves. So, for example, an Agi bomb, or Agi, which is like your basic fire move. If you don't have a persona that's of that element, you can purchase an item that lets you cast that move on an enemy if you find they're weak to it.
I did not know that.
That's the beauty of the game. There's always more. Combat itself is on a grid-based system, so you place your characters, and each of their moves also have a different range as well. So some might be they can only attack horizontally with their move. Some might be the full grid. Some might be a single square, etc., etc. And you also have to account for where you place your characters on that grid. So for your ranged ones, if they're in the back row, then it's unlikely they'll get attacked, and vice versa with your front row tankers.
And see, and that's something that didn't make any sense to me. And granted, I didn't really try to move my characters around. I just went the route of, if they can't do a melee attack, I'll just do a gun attack. And if I can't do a gun attack with them, I'll just use I almost called it an Esper, persona.
Yep.
Because something that didn't make sense to me was like, for instance, I don't remember what his name is, but it's the dude with the axe. if you want to use an attack with him, he's only got like 3 squares that he can attack with, but then the entire line, like directly in front of him, is also available for attack or something.
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't really understand how that worked.
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember who had the axe because I didn't use melee weapons too much. I think it was Mark or Nanjo. Yeah, so basically, depending on what weapon you had equipped, it had a different range, essentially. When we talk about grid squares, that's all it means is range. But also, within that, though, you can upgrade everything. You can upgrade everything your character has. You can upgrade their melee weapon, you can upgrade their gun, you can upgrade the bullets they use for their gun, you can upgrade armor, and you can fuse personas. Which, do you want me to kind of talk about that now, or did you want to talk about anything else before we jump into personas themselves?
There's a lot to cover with the personas, so let's just jump into that.
All right. Do you want to give it a go, or do you want me to?
The personas are a tarot deck, and that's about as much as I understand.
Yep. So each persona has what's called an arcana, which is, like Fenris just said, one of the main, I think, 12 kind of arcanas from tarot itself. And each of those has an affinity with a party member. So, for example, the main party member might have the best affinity to the Justice Arcana, or Strength, or Death, or the Hanged Man, the Lovers. They're all in there, and each party member has a different affinity with that. So equipping them with a persona of something that's not, or their worst affinity, means they'll, in some cases, not even be able to attack at all. Luckily, the game tells you this when you're fusing. I felt that for how old this game is, the actual fusing of personas was done quite well when you go to what's called the Velvet Room, which is a room that's present in each dungeon and also the overworld, which kind of gives you a break to be able to upgrade your personas mid-dungeon. Because as you get to later dungeons, you do have to upgrade your personas mid-dungeon. But how do you upgrade your personas? So you need to collect what's called spell cards, and you get spell cards through demon negotiation.
Something else I didn't know.
Yeah, the game doesn't explain this to you, by the way. So demon negotiation, each character has a set affinity with their talking ability. So you go into a random battle, you hit talk, and you select a demon that you want to talk to. You've then got a list of options, each of which is linked to an emotion. So anger, excitement, fear, or what was the last one? I've forgotten the last one.
Eagerness,
thank you.
Eager? Yeah.
So triggering one of the emotions 3 times will cause the demon to perform an action. If it's anger, the demon will attack the party. If you scare them, they'll flee. Joyful demon will give the player an item. And an eager demon will either leave the battle, give the player an item, or give a special spell card. So then you go to the Velvet Room with your spell cards by fusing them and fusing the particular persona family or arcanum from there. So for example, you've got Jack Frost, who is a magician arcana. If you have some other magician spell cards, you can fuse that Jack Frost into like Black Frost or Fire Frost, or just a stronger persona, and you go from there. There's whole wikis that are dedicated to like family trees of personas. So I'm just trying to give a real quick and dirty here. So basically, what you want to do is have the persona that says best and fuse that for your selected character there. And that will give them a stronger persona to use magic. And you can also inherit skills and transfer skills from your old persona to a new one. So you can have a fire affinity persona, because we haven't even got to affinities yet. A fire affinity persona also have a wind move as a backup to kind of cover their weaknesses if you can inherit it properly. I hope that makes sense.
It's Pokemon, but with a bunch of unnecessary extra steps.
Yeah. Yep. And I think that's probably all I'm going to say on combat so far. Hold up. Status ailments. Okay. Again, Pokemon, you've got Poison, Paralysis, Charm, which causes your party to attack itself, which fucked me up a lot.
I hated Charm because no matter what you did, you would always attack your other character. And I was just at that point, like, I recognized demons that could charm me, and I was just like, F that, and I just escaped.
Yep. Yeah, you basically have to run if your whole party gets charmed, depending on the makeup. So you had, four? Did you have a 4 male, 1 female party?
I had the main character. I had, let's see,
Mark and Anjo are the ones, and Maki are ones you have to have, and then you can have a
I had Maki, Nanjo, Brown, Mark, and I think that was it. I don't know.
Okay, so you have Brown as your 5th member.
Yeah. So, but the reason I didn't like the charm affliction was because your only option was to flee.
Yeah.
Because you literally couldn't do anything. If you tried to attack, you would, attack your squad mate. If you tried to, use a skill, you would attack your other squad mate. A gun, you would attack your other squad mate. Even if you guarded and defended, you would still attack your other squad mate, which makes absolutely no sense because you're essentially skipping your turn.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating.
We're still in the era, I think, of super punishing combat, which I think is another reason why the series didn't make it to the West for as long as it did. Because you've also got other status elements such as Stone, which frees your party completely. And basically there's just lots of ways to get wiped. So you need to, I guess it falls on the old Dark Souls, Elden Ring trope of dying and knowing what's coming and having items to kind of prepare for that. Because items are what will save you when it comes to status ailments. Because there's like an antidote for everything.
See, that's something else I didn't know. Because why would you have a persona that has a specific ability that cures poison, but I never once got poisoned?
Yep. Yeah, buffs and debuffs. Like in Pokemon, like, let's be real, you don't have to use buffs and debuffs at all unless you're in like a competitive level. You can go through the game just using attacks. You can't do that in Persona or Shin Megami Tensei at all. You have to use buffs and debuffs and items, and basically you have to use every tool the game gives you, which is good game design. But in these early games, it doesn't tell you that you have those options. So that's the problem there.
Yeah, and I feel like I would have had a much better time with it if, I knew what I was walking into. Because, like, I went into this blind. I didn't look anything up. I didn't, look up anything about things to look out for or things I wish I should have known before playing. Like, I just booted it up and started playing.
Yeah.
And I struggled really hard with it.
And imagine playing this in 1996 before the internet was big and just walking into this being the first Shin Megami Tensei game in the West.
I had to throw that PSP disc right in the fire.
Yeah. This game isn't reviewed well, I think, and I think that's why. More recent reviews praise the game for the various things that I've talked about, and they're the same things that I praise it for. But that's coming in with 8 games of knowledge, whereas people back in 1996 would have had 0 games, unless you were the type to import Japanese games and had like a chip PS1 and understood Japanese, because there was no localization patches back then.
Yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. This is definitely a game that you're curious about if you started with Persona 5 and then, made your way back to Persona 1, just to see where the games came from. This is definitely not a series that you want to start from 1 and then move up to 5.
Oh, no, 100% no. And that's where Dalton, it was funny when
Dear listeners, we are doing this wrong.
Where Dalton asked you, why the heck did you guys start with 1? And I'm like, because that's the podcast, man. We play them in order, for good or for bad.
But the silver lining to my viewpoint is I am going to enjoy watching the games advance. So
yeah,
watching where they came from for Persona 1 and then, seeing the minor or major changes that they go through for each game until we hit everyone's favorite Persona 5.
Ooh, controversial. Not my favorite, but we'll get there.
I don't know anything about the series, so like...
It is... My main problem with Persona 5 is we haven't had a Persona 6, but we've had 5 Persona 5 games.
Oh, so it's Persona 5 Skyrim.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's just been ported to a new system. It's like spin-off. So there's like, 4 or 5 spin-off games on top of Persona 5, plus an anime. So it's like...
And you said yourself that Atlas loves their spin-offs.
Yeah, they do. They also love their remakes, but just give us Persona 6, man. Come on. And that moves, like, because I played this on an emulator, PSP emulator, which, I buy majority of Atlas games, so I think they can forgive me this one time for using an emulator, because they don't give me any other way to play Persona 1, apart from paying, like, 300 Australian dollars for a PS1 disc.
Oh.
Yeah. I had a great time with the emulator. I won't say what it is. But I also tried RetroArch and had some issues. And you had a bunch of issues with RetroArch, hey?
Not really. The only issue that I had was saving at the tree. I never had any like word prompts for saving, so I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to like figure it out by moving the cursor.
Yep.
And eventually, like I kind of figured it out, but like I made it through like 3 hour session and was saving the entire time. But I was not saving, so I lost a lot of time.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's a big tree. Just go talk to it. Of course, that's how you save.
Yeah.
Yeah, once again, something it doesn't tell you. I think I don't like RetroArch in Steam. I've got no problems with it outside, but I just had big issues with cores and cheats, and it just rolls into how this game doesn't respect your time at all. But
No.
it was originally a PS1 JRPG. They aren't known for respecting time.
And it shows.
Y-
And I'm sure that like, once upon a time ago in a land far, far away, like it was a fantastic game. But it definitely did not age well. And I keep coming back, or I kept comparing its age to Chrono Trigger, which was released in what, 97? And I feel like Chrono Trigger aged a lot better than this game did.
Oh, 100%. Definitely.
Yeah. But other than respecting time, like, it's I I wish that for some of the cutscenes there were some subtitles because I don't know what his name was, but the butterfly dude with the mask, like, he spoke so softly I could barely understand what he was saying.
Yep, Filemon.
And
Yeah, sorry. The name just escaped me. So yeah, subtitles in the Filemon cutscenes would have been fantastic. Because I also thought
but
the same, because I wasn't paying attention sometimes. And it goes into a cutscene and Filemon starts speaking and I'm like, oh shit, there's no subtitles. I can't quickly catch up with what's going on.
See, and subtitles would have really helped because I ended up muting this game because of the constant battling. Like the battle theme hits, it slaps, it's fantastic, but it's just too much. Like hearing it, it's the same theme for every combat, minus boss fights. But for the amount of like enemy spawns that you're gonna go through, like the same song for every fight, it was too much, and I ended up muting the game.
And that's one of the things that is unfortunately transferred across the rest of the series. You're going to be so sick of Last Surprise by the time we get up to Persona 5, which is the Persona 5 battle track. Battles are shorter.
Right, so it's the same battle theme across five different games.
No. Each game has its own battle theme that's played in every battle, though.
Okay. Yep. Okay, it's just you said Lost Surprise, and that's the name of the song for this one, I think.
Oh, it's definitely different.
I Shazammed it because it sounds really good, and I wanted to add it to my playlist.
Yeah. And look, I think the boss music is a lot better.
It's A Lone Prayer.
Okay.
That's the name of the song, A Lone Prayer.
Because part of the controversy between the PS1 American release is they took a piece of music out, which was apparently that one. So I don't know why I hate to think of what they put in if people wanted it back in.
Yeah.
Also, I'm glad we didn't play the PlayStation version because they made Mark African American descent. And the amount of times that Mark is called a monkey would not have flown well.
Definitely not. Because America is inherently racist.
Yeah. So I'm really glad they changed that for this.
Yeah, because that would have been terrible.
There's still the whole thing with Japanese games, though, of misogyny throughout. Women are the ones put in situations of danger. There's also some threat of sexual assault by demons that comes in briefly. Obviously not too much because the game only had a teen rating, not M, and to keep it like that, it's just inferred. No dick demons in this one yet. We'll get there. Quite a few demons have their wangs out in later games.
Well, now I'm interested.
I'll send you a screenshot later of a demon called Mara, and people who know the games know what I mean by that. But in terms of back to music, away from Dick Demons, back to music. Yeah, I thought the battle music got old very quick. I wish there was a way to just turn the music off. If there was, I apologize, but I couldn't find it. So I did the same. I just ended up taking off my headphones and not listening to the music, having something else on in the background. But
yeah, I couldn't find a way to mute the game, period, because I wanted to watch anime while I played the game, and I just couldn't find a way to mute the game. I had to mute my entire computer.
Yeah. I feel like, though, the bits I did listen to in the dungeon, the dungeons had some decent music tracks, though. Particularly in the forest and the palace. I won't say more than that because it's kind of a spoiler, but the forest and the palace had very good theme music as I was going through them. The palace itself was quite a large dungeon, so I'm glad that it had good music there. The voice acting, though. There was voice acting in this, which was good.
And it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Filemon's voice actor, who I don't have in front of me at the moment, he did the classic mentor kind of voice quite well. And the little quips that that the characters make when they attack was also good.
Yeah.
Kind of comes into the one of our lovely listeners gave us a 3-word review from Infinite Backlog. Head on over to Infinite Backlog Revive Pod, where I put up a chance for all listeners to leave a 3-word review about what they thought from the game. And our review was from Mitsu98, so thank you, Mitsu. And they put down for their 3-word review, let's get funky. Because I don't know how many times I heard Mark say that.
Yeah.
Too many.
He said it quite a lot.
Yeah.
Real quick, going back to Filemon, his voice actor is Travis Willingham, who is a main character in Critical Role. He voiced Roy Mustang in Full Metal Alchemist, and Cleo in Glass Fleet, Ginkgo in Mushishi, Portgas the Ace in One Piece. He was Mori from Ouran Host High School Club, and Yu Kanata and D Gray Man, just to name a few.
Yeah, he also seems to portray Thor quite a lot in Marvel animated stuff.
Yeah.
And Knuckles as
and
well.
he's also
Knuckles
married to Laura Bailey.
Oh, wow. Oh. Good job.
Did not know that.
Good job, Trav. Good job. we talked a bit about the visuals already. It's PSP stretched to 28 inches on my PC screen. So it's not great, but I could see what was going on. There was no pixel hunting, and I feel like the personas actually looked really good for what I was expecting. There was some where I'm like, oh, is that persona that I know from High Detail from Persona 3 Reload? And it's like, oh yeah, there is. It is them. Cool. Good to see him. The animations for actual attacks were quite cool. Fire looked like fire. Wind looked like wind. The holy attacks were quite hilarious because they were like a red beam of light. And I didn't get a chance to get any persona of the nuclear persuasion, which is the type or the element that has no weaknesses, which you can basically just steamroll the game with once you get a persona with some nuclear attacks. But I'm sure it would have been very good and explosion-y.
And seeing as how we definitely did not steal this, I mean, I didn't have any issues with performance. Did you? Any kind of glitches or anything?
No.
No?
Nothing at all.
So what about the characters?
Look. Your main characters, Mr. Gennaro, One Note, Mary Sue,
Silent protagonist.
Yeah. Well, yeah, kind of. In the way that Link is a silent protagonist. He also makes some noises when he attacks. And you get to make dialogue choices throughout the game, which informs the game's ending. But apart from that, yeah, he was fine. Mark, I fucking hated.
He was obnoxious. He had the air of juvenile delinquent who didn't know when to shut up.
Yeah. And look, his archetype carries on through 3, 4, and 5 at least. The best friend character of the main character is always annoying. So be prepared for that. I did feel bad for him because it was quite obvious he had a big crush on Maki, but she just didn't see him at all, didn't acknowledge him. But he actually went through a lot of links, and he was quite brave and courageous when the moments mattered. I will say that for Mark, but he says a lot of stupid shit.
No. I know that you really enjoyed the game for its twist there at the end, so tell me about that.
Okay. Do we want to do... Alright, we'll throw up a spoiler one now.
Wait. No, can't do that yet. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
So we won't say that, but I'll move on with Nanjo then, who's like the rich boy inheritor of the of a company. So I can say that he does have a vendetta against Kandori because Kandori is our main villain who runs the Sebek company, and Nanjo is the heir apparent to an opposing company. It was good seeing their history there, I guess, and kind of how that played out. He comes off as a dick sometimes. So, for example, you have to go and save a female character, and he's like, no, we're not going to do that. we got to put the needs of the many against the needs of the few, which I guess is just pragmatic. But he ends up getting into a punch up with Mark, and then changes his mind anyway. So that was kind of like, yeah, I get it, but he changed after his friend talked to him and talked him down. I don't really have too many thoughts on Nanjo.
And he just seemed like a spoiled rich baby to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Maki, your female, I guess, best girl, love interest. She's interesting. I will say slight spoiler now, but this happens within the first 5 hours of the game anyway. The Maki that you play with isn't the Maki from your world. So a Maki comes in. Maki, your best friend, is laid up in the hospital sick, which is where you are when the demons start coming through and attacking everyone. And suddenly you meet Maki, who is well, and you find out that she is from another world, which is your first kind of twist there. But she's your healer. She's got a bow. I kept her at the back of my party, protected her at all costs because she was my only healer for quite a while. And then you can choose a fifth character from a number of other characters throughout the game, all with different kind of links in and different kind of abilities, different affinities, and different arcanas. Who did you have? You had Brown, you said, as your fifth character.
Yeah. I was kind of locked into him because I didn't know that you could choose who you had as your fifth character.
Yeah, similar to Chrono Cross, don't feel bad saying no to characters when you want to recruit them. Because once you say yes, if you lock them in too early, you will miss out.
I also didn't know that there was like 4 other characters that you could choose from. So by the time I figured that out, it was too late.
Yep. I started off with Ellie, who I think comes to you just before you go into Sebek for the first time. Believe she's a Justice Arcana user. I went back and changed this because I wanted the quote-unquote best recruitable character that I think was new for the PSP, Reggie, the male character with the big X scar on his forehead, because turns out he's actually Kandori's younger brother. So there is some cool kind of cutscenes there, and things play out a little bit differently if you're able to recruit Reggie.
Yeah, and something that kind of threw me with the whole character recruitment thing was that the way the game starts out, it made me feel like you were just going to have like a rotating cast, because you started off with, your main 3, and then all of a sudden you've got 2 more people, and then they leave, and then 1 more person shows up, and then he leaves or whatever, and
Yep.
So I thought it was just going to be like a rotating cast, and then I was locked into a 5th person.
Yeah, and again, I feel like I'm saying that a lot this episode. This is an improvement made in the later games, that you do recruit like a new character as each storyline point progresses, and you've got your main 3, and then you can just switch out 1 or 2 constantly about who you want in your party. I think in later games, the only one that stays consistent is your main character.
All right.
I do feel like, though, by the time, like, I finished this game, so I do think the story was compelling enough to carry the gameplay. Um, Without cheats, I don't know, and speed up, I don't know. I probably wouldn't have been able to finish it. Particularly the last dungeon, which drops you down, or second last dungeon, which drops you down to 2 party members, which was so damn hard. So damn hard. I'm very lucky that I had good personas, because that was a point where I had to turn off random battles because I was just getting wiped constantly.
See, and that was also an issue I had before I stopped playing, was the fact that like all of my characters were out leveled, or not out leveled, but like by the time I realized that there was a level disparity between my party and the trash mobs I was going up against, like my main character was like 3 or 4 levels below the enemies I was fighting. So, and there wasn't much I could do about that. So, I mean, because like he kept dying and I didn't have any way to raise him. So, like, you know, he just never got any experience.
Yeah, far out. I didn't even talk about the experience. Okay, so this game, there's 3 basic tiers of experience. You have separate experience points for your main character, separate experience points for your personas, and depending on how much your actual characters participate in battle determines how much experience they will get from the battle. So if you are protecting your healer, like I did, her persona was getting experience because I was using her persona to heal my characters. But she wasn't gaining any experience because she wasn't actually attacking, because I was using her as healing. So my frontline party members were all getting experience because they were attacking. And I tried to keep that consistent between their persona and character levels, because otherwise you'll get into the point that Fenris kind of did of being under-leveled with no real way to level up. Gosh, I'm so glad the days are over of when you could actually like run out or actually not finish a game or get to a game breaking point of your game, the opposite way of not being able to complete it. Kind of glad those days are gone.
Yeah. So, what about the world? Tell me about the world.
It felt like it would if demons were invading a world. The lighting was very dank. There was a lot of, when you went to areas, there was like rubble, buildings were being destroyed. There weren't any other humans, so it felt quite isolating. When you did meet humans in dungeons, they were kind of hiding away and very scared. So I feel like they kind of hit the nail on the head with what they were trying to achieve.
I can agree with that.
There were some interesting places, like the black market, which had like a casino and a reverse harem, for want of a better word, from the queen there. You had to kind of get the queen's permission to be able to leave. There was the forest in which a kind of god character was living, and it was set out like a little gingerbread house because they were in the form of a little girl. Yeah, it was sufficiently creepy for what it was trying to tell, I think.
Would you say it's replayable?
100%, because there's a whole other route that I didn't take. So both Fenris and I played the Spectre route, which is like the main kind of route that they would encourage new players to go in, or for a first playthrough. And then you've kind of got a New Game Plus. And for the PSP, this was originally Japan only content, optional content, but it came to the PSP version of the North America release, called the Snow Queen route. So at the point where you go back to the school for the first time, you can either go to Sebek and confront Kandori, or you can stay in the school and investigate this magic mask, which transports you to another dimension and gives you a whole separate set of dungeons, which are a lot harder than the main game. So that's why they probably recommend it's for a New Game Plus kind of thing. Although I don't believe there is any like New Game Plus in terms of like keeping your personas or your level or items or anything like that. It's just a more difficult kind of side content.
I didn't know there was a New Game Plus.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. With the different routes, are there different endings?
Yeah, 100%. Kandori and Sebek aren't mentioned at all.
Oh,
So
okay.
it would think of it like DLC in a way. But the fact that you can end the game. So basically the Snow Queen takes over the school, who's this demonic being, and you need to go into her world and defeat these number of dungeons. You defeat the Snow Queen and the credits roll. So Kandori and all the stuff going on with Sebek and the Deva machine are never mentioned again. Completely different side tangent.
So you're playing the same game without playing the same game.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if that's what they did with Persona 2 when we get there, whether it is a direct sequel or it's like a I don't want to say Pokemon Red and Blue because they're too similar, but like even a what's that Capcom Zelda game? Oracle of Seasons, Oracle of Ages, where they're like two separate
Something
games
like that,
released at the same time kind of thing. And whether they did that a similar thing with Persona 2, where it's the same story just played from a different perspective. But we'll have to see. Everything I've read says it's a sequel, but
okay.
But I don't see myself playing this game again, to be honest. I might just watch the Snow Queen content if I'm super interested or read a wiki. I think the gameplay just gets too much in the way.
That is extremely fair. Because I do not have a very good memory, especially when it comes to like stories and stuff like that. Like even when I'm reading a book that I really love, like I take in information like that, and that's it. Like after I absorb it, like it's out of my brain. I remember big plot points that were memorable, but for the most part, I don't remember anything about any story. So in between all the trash pack fights that you had to do getting to the next boss, like I was already forgetting what was going on with the story.
Yeah, I had to keep detailed notes, and those are kind of like missing in the early to mid half of the game. So I'll do the best that I can from my memory.
Yeah. I've already spoken on my personal takeaways.
Yeah, I feel I have as well. Because my recommendation kind of comes in my rating. So we might just jump to them. What's your rating? Fun or fail?
Fail.
Yep.
Yeah.
My second Adam pick that's a fail. I'm on a good run.
Like I said on the last episode, you can't win them all.
No, that's fair. Anything you want to expand on outside of the gameplay experience? that made it a fail? Or
If they remade it, I would try it again.
yeah, give it the Persona 3 Reload treatment, because the original and Persona 3 Fez were definitely on the line of being frustrating, in terms of difficulty and a lot of the stuff we've talked about here. Whereas Persona 3 Reload just absolutely exploded, I feel, and brought in a lot of players that hadn't played the series before. Being on Game Pass probably helped that, but
Yeah.
a remake would definitely be on the cards.
So what was your rating?
I'm going to give it a fun.
Yeah.
Not just because I picked it. I think anyone that has played earlier Shin Megami Tensei games, even like if you've only played Shin Megami Tensei 3 and 4, like around those era, you're going to still enjoy this game. And I think, however, you need to play it with quality of life on. Play it through an emulator, play it through the PSP, have it sped up. And you'll have an alright time. This game has all the things that I really like about Shin Megami Tensei, and it doesn't have the things that I didn't enjoy about Persona later on down the track. So this is definitely one for the Shin Megami Tensei purists. Should play this, and you'll get a great deal of enjoyment out of it.
That's fair. So shall we get to house cleaning?
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening. Don't leave us just yet though. If you would like to stay behind for the spoiler wall, we're going to have a quick music break and we will go into that. We do have a Patreon now. So if you would like to contribute to the show, help us keep the lights on, help us play some amazing games, or if you would like to tell Fenris and I what to play, head on over to patreon.com/Spectre Approved, where as little as $3.50 US a month, you get our Patreon bonus chat at the start, which includes some What Are We Playing, some Anime Corner, and our top 3 suggestions every week. It also gives you the ability to pick a game for the show. When it rolls around to listener contributions, your guys will jump up to priority then, depending on how many others we have. Big shout out to our 2 newest patrons, Kana and Dane. Once again, appreciate your support. If you would like a lot of context for the references that Fenris and I talk about, head on over to where all the cool people live in our Steam Machine network Discord, which is bit.ly/TSMP Discord, all caps.
And speaking of Discord, our leader is Dalton Suter, aka Nile the Nightmare. He is the one that does our intro and outro music, so if you like that, head over to nilethenightmare.bandcamp.com, where you can listen to all of the amazing music that he has ever made. Seriously, go give him a follow, buy some of his music. It really is wonderful.
Even if you guys just have his YouTube channel playing on the background on repeat, would be much appreciated. I know he talked about YouTube being a bit funky lately for him, so just head on over to YouTube, type in Nile the Nightmare or Dalton Suter, and you'll find his works there. If you would like to follow me and the wider show, because I don't like putting my own stuff up, so I just hide behind the show on social media, head on over to Blue Sky, Instagram, and X, where I'm under Spectre Approved. If you would like to make a contribution to the show in the form of a 3-word review, head on over to Infinite Backlog, where you can still find me under Revive Pod, because I haven't changed that one just yet. And where can people find you, Fenris?
I am Fenris Wolfsbane everywhere. Discord, Steam, Epic, EA, GOG, Final Fantasy XIV on Gilgamesh, so come say hi. And our next game is... where is it? Listener pick. And we got The Life and Suffering of Sir Bronte?
Yeah, so shout out to Kana for this pick. Hers being the first listener pick that we've done thus far. It's shaping up to be a cool visual novel. And before we head into the music break, guys, I will just kindly ask you to head on over to your podcast listener of choice and give us a rating and a share. If you leave a review, we'll read it out, good or bad. So don't feel like you need to just give us a 5-star there. Happy for any feedback. And leave a question for the next episode as well. So for those that don't want to stay for the spoiler wall, thank you for listening. We'll be leaving you with the lovely battle theme that I listened to for probably about 20 hours during this game, apart from the times I turned it off. But overall, listening to it once should be good for you guys. And those joining us after the spoiler wall, look forward to coming back.
Yep. So the song is called A Lone Prayer by Ziodane, or Ziodine something. I don't know. It's really good. You'll like it.
Live with valid memories, experience self-consciousness. I'm just lone player, keep learning all the code track. The hatred thoughts just don't stop. I see free wake from death. The world is all I said you. All my right is meant to ring me burn. Don't get that you cool, close the mind, ray of light, ready for freedom nowhere. All my right is meant to ring me burn. Yes, my last play with no one, my last let me feel alive.
And welcome back, everyone, on the other side of that musical piece, to the spoiler section for Revelations Persona, or Shin Megami Tensei Persona 1.
Yeah.
Fenris, we'll kick off with what you kind of gleaned from the bits of the story that you're able to play up to.
So you start off with your main character, his schoolmates, and they're playing a fortune-telling parlor game called Persona. A little on the nose. And after you're done playing the game, you see a ghostly figure, and then you're rendered unconscious. And then you're introduced to the masked guy named Philemon, and he grants you the power of Persona and warns you that the new power will soon be needed. And then after you recover at the suggestion of their teacher, because for whatever... Oh, well, no. I guess most schools have a nurse station. She recommends you to go check in on a classmate who has been out sick. Her name is Maki. So while you're going to the hospital, you go meet Maki, And while you're waiting for news, she just vanishes, and the town is attacked by demons, and which apparently are the summoned manifestations of people's inner darkness. And then using your personas, the party defends themselves, and then they meet up with Ellie, and they head to the town's shrine to find Maki's mother, and then they find Setsuko, who is wounded after an attack by the big boss guy Kandori, and then who is revealed to be behind the changes of the town caused by a reality-altering machine called the Deva system, which is interesting because they're doing the demons and angels thing. Two of your friends head out to confront the Sebek people while the rest of the kids are at the school. And then this is the point in the game where apparently it splits into the two story routes. I didn't make it much further than this, but you go to the Sebek place, and then you're joined by Maki, who is recovered and apparently doesn't remember anything. And then your friend Nanjo shows up to tell you that while they were investigating Sebek, they got confronted by the police, and he was arrested. So then you go to the police station and you rescue Mark, and then after don't you go to the police or the Sebek place after you rescue Mark?
Yeah, so I believe this is where, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I completely forgot about the whole rescuing Mark from the police station thing. Keep in mind, listeners, what Fenris has just told you is in the first 2 hours, so it's very dense story-wise. So you go to Sebek and you fight off Kandori's henchmen. Kandori flees through a secret passage. You beat the henchman, who also has a persona. So this is the first time we kind of see adults having the ability to summon demons as well. Because normally throughout the series it's only the other kids. And also grown men with guns shoot at you in that battle. Which is just fun. So you follow Kandori down to the Deva system, which is an ongoing kind of thing in the wider Megami Tensei series as well. And you go to another dimension because you hear some guys trapped inside, which is another one of your schoolmates. I've forgotten his name. So you go through there and you end up in the school. But things are just a little bit the same, but also a little bit different. And you go around talking to different people, and a little girl in a black dress who calls Kandori Daddy, shuts down the school and spawns a heap of demons. So you need to fight your way through them, fighting a giant mouse robot boss for this level, which is the first time I had to use the one-shot kill cheat because this mouse boss just wrecked me. And you go through there and you need to track down Kandori, who's trying to use these magical devices, which are make-up compacts, to meld his power and turn himself into a god. Because you find the girl in the little the little girl in the black dress has a creepy twin sister as well. They are called Mai and Aki. One is good, one is bad, obviously. One's siding with Kandori, the other one is hiding away. So you go track down Aki in a forest, get her compact, because that's the only way you can stop Kandori. Kandori thanks you then when you track him down for bringing the extra compact to you. He merges them, and you go back to the original world where he's put this great demonic tower and proclaimed himself god of the new world. So you go through the new demon tower of Sebek, fight Kandori, kill him, and say, "Ooh, I wasn't the power all along. There's been a greater power behind me all this time. Someone who didn't let me have full power." And long story short, you go through another couple of dungeons and you find the original Marquis hooked up to a machine linked to the Davis system, because the Marquis that's been with you the entire time is just a copy. Not even a parallel Marquis. The parallel world has been linked to Marquis that's hooked up to the Davis system to create her idealized world, and it split her personality into 4. The Marquis that's been with your party, Mai and Aki, which were very on the nose way to say it's Marquis. I worked that out right away because the sprite even looks like her, just a younger version of her. And Pandora, who is like the evil personified version of Marquis, all her fears and securities. So you go back to the ideal world to fight Pandora, and depending on the choices you've made throughout the game, determine the ending. So there's a number of choices, basically just being a good person. So for example, goes all the way back to the start in the hospital where you're fighting the demons and you have the chance to either leave the hospital when a woman's about to be attacked or step in and save her. So you step in and save her, and that's 1 point towards the good actions for the game. So just a few choices like that. There's also another one where Maki's mother has been turned into a demon. You can either choose to fight her and kill her in her demon form or try and save her, and those sorts of things. So you get to the end, fight Pandora, and she ends up merging back with my Aki and Maki, and Maki erases the ideal world and goes back to the real world. So it definitely plays heavily into like Jungian themes and persona, like the ideal self, how you see yourself, how you want the world to be, and all that kind of thing. So that's just a real quick and dirty kind of, I guess, rundown on the spoilers.
It sounds like a really interesting story, and you know, like I said earlier, I would be really interested to play this if it ever got a remake or a remaster or something. It's just as it is in its current state, I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and something interesting they do throughout the series, and you don't really get to experience it in this game because of a variety of reasons. To be honest, I didn't really explore it too much because I just got bogged down into the gameplay. Is like you can have literal gods as your personas. Like they've got Thor, Loki. You can have Oberon, who's the king of the fairies from Shakespeare, and all sorts of like literary and mythological creatures as your personas when you get up to the real higher level. I was just focused on beating the game this time around, so I didn't really go into that. And there's normally a link between a certain like persona from mythology and like the main character. But basically what Filemon was talking about to you is, the version of the true and ideal self, and being happy with who you are and your friends, and it all wraps up in a nice little bow that way. So it says there's character endings for each person as well, depending on certain actions. Like Maki comes back, the town remembered what happened, but they all blamed it on Kandori, and eventually the town goes back to being a normal place to live. Maki ends up going to university and acknowledging her faults and turning them into her strength. All that kind of good touchy-feely stuff. Nanjo ends up becoming the next CEO of the company and using it to do good instead of ripping people off. And the protagonist, well, no one knows where he's been, but he may return later on. That kind of thing. Because you are the blank slate, player insert protagonist there.
Yeah.
Can't remember what happened to Mark. I think his family owned some sort of convenience store chain, so I think he ended up running that. And Reiji, who was my fifth party member, who was Kandori's younger brother, half brother, ended up taking over Sebek.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever see any references to it again, to be honest. Like, there's no sequel, obviously. Like, Persona 2 is a completely different story. But I think it was good for introducing those themes that really become the core and the crux of the Persona series.
Yeah, and from what I understand, the series is pretty much an anthology, right? Every game, like Final Fantasy, where every game is different.
Yeah, correct. They're all set within the same universe, apparently, but all in different places.
That's fair.
I would love to see a crossover, which I think kind of happens in the fighting game, but obviously that's like fighting game logic where they're all kind of pulled to an arena to fight each other, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think, for its time, is there anything that you could see that could have been done better?
Just story-wise or
Overall, story-wise, combat, anything. Because, for me, like, I wish there was more tutorial on how to play the game. Because I found that after it became obvious I didn't know how to do anything, I went online and started looking up guides. Excuse me. And all the guides I found were... They talked at you as if you already had a premise of what to do, and they were not beginner friendly. They were written in a way that it almost expected you to have an idea of how to play the game.
Yeah, and I think there is too high a level of assumed knowledge. Particularly because this was the first Western release, which is surprising there's not more user-friendly guides, because that's the kind of thing you would expect from a community that's just jumping into this game. But I don't know about the overall toxicity of the community. Like, I talk about Persona with friends in our Discord, who are all lovely people, and of of a like mind, but I don't know. I don't go out to the wider internet and talk on forums about Persona and SMT, because the internet's a horrible place.
I can agree with you on that.
But yeah, I would definitely say tutorializing the systems 100%. Even if it's like, and again, like not playing this at the time, all this could have been in a manual. Particularly for the PS1 version, back when you used to get beefy manuals.
Yeah, and that's where I think a lot of this has been left out, is that all of this probably was in that little jewel booklet.
Yeah, I'll see if I can track down some scans of the PS1 manual. But yeah, definitely tutorializing, even if it's like, did you ever play the early Pokemon games, like the Game Boy?
Yes.
Because they had like, remember that little type chart in the back where it had the grid of all the types and goes, this was good against this was bad against this would have no effect against this?
I don't remember that, but it would not surprise me that that would be on the, or in the box.
Yeah, they need one of them for SMT typings as well, because some make sense. Oh, fire is good against ice, but sometimes they don't make sense at all.
Yeah.
And you've got some random types like nuclear, which, yeah, by association, you would think that it does everything against everything.
Yeah. And something else I had issues with was, like, there at the end, I was really trying to, for lack of a better word, power level my characters and not so much their personas, because up until that point, I had widely just used the personas on auto battle. Because that's something that I had read was, make sure you're using your personas, as much as you possibly can, because leveling them up is paramount to beating the game or whatever. So that's what I did. And then my main character kept falling behind, so I just started auto-attacking with weapons or guns or something, but I more often than not found that there are a lot of demons who just block melee attacks.
Yep. That's something we didn't even talk about. I think a good thing is the auto battle settings.
Yeah.
Because you can have auto battle for your last used set, which could be a mix of attack, personas, and guns.
Mm-hmm.
You can have auto battle to get your whole party to use their personas. You can have auto battle for your whole party to use guns, or you can have whole party auto attack for weapons. So I found that actually really robust and diverse.
Yeah, and it was a really...
It's almost like the developers knew that you'd be doing a lot of random battles. Why not just lower the encounter rate?
Yeah. But I mean, for a game of its time, and not respecting your time, I mean, it's supposed to be one of those grindy games, but I mean, even in Final Fantasy VII, I don't remember the combat encounters being so robust.
Yeah, and I can't really comment on back to the 90s, early 2000s, because I didn't really play JRPGs back then. But what I've found going back to the ones that we have gone back to already is that the content definitely wasn't for kids, particularly with this game probably, but they expected you to have the time that a child would, like the amount of free time.
It feels like it sometimes.
Yeah, I'd love to know who the market was, because it's like the content's not really aimed at appropriate for children, but they expect you to have like the free time that I'm guessing it's a high schooler. They're aiming at high schoolers, because that's who the pro tags are. That's the story's centered around, and that's who would have the free time to kind of grind out what's needed to be able to successfully beat the game.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Because, I mean, most high schoolers then and now pretty much just come home, do their homework, and, have the rest of the night off to do whatever they want.
Yeah, I miss it.
Simpler times.
In terms of lore, there's a heap. And I'm sure as we move through the series, we'll see callbacks to this game. The same way that this game calls back to earlier SMTs, and because I think maybe one of the teachers was also a character in Shin Megami Tensei If.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's been years since I've played it. And it's not released in English, so it needed a fanlation patch. So who knows if they even got that stuff right. It does kind of introduce it introduces the romance aspect, which I found really funny, because when I first booted up this game and you have the first interaction with the school nurse and she's like kind of flirting with your character, and I'm like, oh, this sets a scene, because in 3, 4 and 5 you can actually choose a romance option, and it can either be one of your other party members or another kind of like side character that you have a social link with. And in those games, like, they do have like teachers and nurses and stuff like that, where if you're an older guy and you want, or older person, and you want to pursue a more adult relationship, you can do that. It's just your character is 17.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's...
But if you have the mummy fetish, for want of a better word, that's something they cater to that.
That's nice of them.
Yeah. But yeah, that is basically all. I might just touch quickly on the Snow Queen. Even though I didn't play it, I don't think there's too much there. It's basically just following a character called Seiko, who found the Snow Queen mask and gets taken over by it. And you do that, and it's saying that the actual demon behind the mask is the Night Queen Ashura, which is, again, from mythology. I don't know which one. I've forgotten which one. I think it's some sort of Indian Hindu mythology. But yeah, you fight her as the overall antagonist of that arc. I'm probably going to go back and watch it on YouTube. And I'm pretty sure there's an anime.
I would not know.
Yeah, I'm just briefly checking, because there's a bunch of Persona anime since for like games 3, 4 and 5, which ideally you could watch in lieu of the game. Here we go. Persona Trinity Soul, a 26 episode anime. No, it's nothing like the game. Just appears based on the video game series.
Okay.
Yeah, no. So there's just an anime titled Persona Trinity Soul. Which follows the main character called Shin and his elder brother. So I don't remember meeting that character at all, so I don't even know if it's a spin-off of that. But yeah, there's Persona Trinity Soul out there if anyone wants to watch that, and get back to me if it's any good, because I'm probably not going to watch it.
I probably won't either.
But I think overall, in terms of the ending, going back to that quickly, I really liked... It was a good twist, actually, a really good twist. That Maki was kind of the one behind it all. At first I thought he was going to go the Chrono Cross route of a parallel Earth, and then finding out it was the creation of her manifestations was, yeah, really good. I really enjoyed that. So I'd recommend, even if you don't go back to the game, just watching a quick video on the Persona story. They'll probably pick up a lot more that I missed, because I had a 2-week deadline to try and get the game done.
Yeah.
You could... I'm sure people have done like 10-hour video essays on this, because it is just so deep in the different things you can talk about.
Probably. I mean, for as long a game as it is, and for as little story that it is, because you can summarize this story and not miss a story beat. You could do a 5 or 6 sentence paragraph and tell the entire story, but it takes 25 to 36 hours to play. So there is some heavy lore in this game and in this series, I feel.
Yeah, and I think those middle levels, like the Black Market and the Forest and tracking down the compacts, they're like anime filler, I guess. Like, they don't really need to be there. Like, it's only just popped into my mind now about having to go to the subway station and the little boss there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was just a lot of contrivances to get you exploring different buildings, I guess, in the world. Because the world was well set up. It had like a doctor's, it had shrines, it had shopping malls, it had everything that a Japanese city would kind of have. Had your subway station, but it just needed contrivances to get you kind of going through them, because I tried to spend as little time in the overworld as possible, because of the random battles.
Yeah, and that's where I was. Like, there at the end, I was so tired of the random battles. I just started fleeing from everything, and that was a mistake, especially with any JRPGs. Like, you really need to fight all the random battles, but this game was just too much.
Yeah, 100% there. I'm very, very glad that we have a good couple of weeks before we dive into a heavy JRPG again. But I think, unless you have anything else you'd like to add, that is it on our takes for Persona 1.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So thank you for listening, everyone. Head back up to earlier in the episode to follow all our socials there. And we are going to sign off for this evening. I'm Adam.
And I'm Fenris.
And happy gaming.
Bye.